Hello everyone, my name is Caitlin Morris. I'm giving my informative speech on the evolution of surfing culture. The date is 6/26/2020. Within the evolution of surfboards, there have been 10 major new surfboard innovations. The first surfboard came along in the early 1900s. The first surfboard started with a chunk of regular wood called the Alea. These boards typically weighed around 100 pounds and they were over 6 feet tall. The wood from this board was made from a wood from the koa tree. This board came from the wave tribe and was made with only a few materials: paint, fiberglass, foam, and rain. Derek Dodd, the original wave tribe founder, says the Alea comes from Hawaiian and was a part of the Hawaiian surfing heritage. The original boards were between 7 to 12 feet long, weighed up to 100 pounds, and were made from wood koa. The second major board came around a few years later. This famous board was called the Olo. This board was especially good for a surfer to ride the wave before it broke. The board was made from a very thick wood on the inside and thin towards the edges. The founder of the Olo says the rich history and lifestyle of surfing is what inspired us to create the
You
Olo.
have the will. Now get the skill. Take control of
To
your
us,
career
surfing
by
is more
needing
than a
in-demand
sport.
skills at NOCE.
It's
Build better paychecks and management,
freedom.
administrative assisting, pharmacy tech, early childhood
The next
education,
big
and
board
more. Start a second
was
career
the cigar
or
box
advance
board.
your current one.
This board came about in 1926. This board has numerous holes drilled in the board, making it go much faster than the other boards before this. Next to come along surfing history was the Simon Spoon. This surfer board was invented in 1940. The board's motivation for the innovation was the need for better balance and performance. Simon Spoon achieved this idea. The board is still known today as the most important design. Nicole Spinelli says Bob Simon is one of the surfing's greatest post-War II innovators and is hailed today as the sport's first true design genius. The fifth major surfboard innovation was the fiberglass board. This board was invented in 1946. This fiberglass was made to be the strongest and lightest surfboard made yet. Pete Peterson, the inventor of this board, used fiberglass tape to tie the board together. The following next board came to us was called the Inter-Island Gun. This board was invented in 1950. According to George Downing, the Inter-Island Gun was the first true gun or big wave board. This was the first board that allowed surfers to control the motion of the board with pointing their toes in the water. This board was also the first board ever to have a fin on the back of the board. This helped with the direction of water. The next big style was called the minigun shortboard. This board was invented in 1967 by Nick Brewer. This board had another nickname, minigun. This new board will come to be the fastest and most aggressive board with its narrow board. The next big board to make history came in 1970 by a man named Steve Liss. Steve named his interesting board the Fish. This board was not created as a surfboard but as a kneeboard. Steve Liss did not typically surf but was known as a famous kneeboarder. Surfers soon adapted this board when they realized if they stood on the board that they could get a much faster performance by standing on the board rather than sitting. This next style was called twin fin. Mark Richard created this board in 1978. This was the first board to completely change the way of surfing. Mark Richards created this board to have a second fin on the end of the tail of the surfboard. The second fin allows the board to flow much faster and swifter motion than the other boards before this. The last major board design to ever change the surfing world was Thirster Fin. Simon Anderson came up with this new board in 1980. Simon created this board with another fin on the back of the fin on the board. This would make the first surfboard with 3 fins on the back of the fins. The third fin allows for the surfer to almost have full control of the board in the water. Simon Anderson's board was such a hit he won a World Cup because of his design on this surfboard. For my visual aid, I choose to use the board I surfed on today. This board is called an NSP. Bruce from Buzz Henson, Hawaii says NSP stands for New Surf Project. Established in 2001, we've stood in the vanguard of modern surfing technology, producing light, affordable, and ding-resistant surfboards. In over 19 years and tens of thousands of boards later, NSP continues to build performing, affordable, and durable surf SUP, race, and full boards that everyone to surf. In conclusion, we should all just get a longboard.